Now. Hello to everyone. My name is Theodore Styliadis, and I welcome you to the last two sessions of the TrainMoS seminar. This presentation will be split in two sessions. The first one will be up until 1 o'clock, and then after an hour break, we'll continue with a second session. The presentation is with regards to issues of safety management in shipping. So, today we're going to discuss some subjects regarding safety management after a short introduction and some definitions. We'll discuss about the ISMS code. We'll provide an overview, the ISMS code's requirements. Then we'll analyze the consequences of the ISMS code to the various stakeholders, while further on we'll provide an overview of ship inspections and the new inspection regime, and we'll provide some examples and some further information on inspections and insurance of ship sanitation certificates, while finally we'll discuss maritime safety cooperation and awareness, and we'll end our presentation with some concluding remarks. So, with the definition. Acceptable risk. The level of risk that individuals or groups are willing to accept given the benefits gained. Each organization will have its own acceptable risk level, which is derived from its legal and regulatory compliance responsibilities, its threat profile, and its business organizational drivers and impacts. Hazard is a physical situation which has the potential to cause harm. For example, a refinery is regarded as a hazardous activity due to the toxicity of hydrogen sulfide and flammability of gases and liquids in the process. A word hazard does not express a view on how likely it is that the harm will actually occur. Accident is the actual realization of a hazard. It is a sudden, unintended departure from normal conditions in which usually some degree of harm is caused. Incident is an occurrence other than an accident associated with the operation of an aircraft which affects or could affect the safety of operation. Nonconformities, an event where something or someone has not complied with an element of the ISM code or not in accordance with the system or procedures. It may be potentially hazardous and it may require improvement to prevent recurrence and are usually highlighted as a result of an inspection, either internal or external. Designated person is the person on shore that has been placed in a chain in charge of monitoring the safe operation and pollution prevention activities of all the vessels under management. Acceptable level of safety performance. The minimum level of safety performance of civil or maritime industry as defined in the strategy safety program or a service provider as defined in its safety management system expressed in terms of safety performance targets and safety performance indicators. Alert level. An established level or criteria value outside the normal operating range or out of control region that triggers a warning that an adjustment or evaluation is needed. Emergency response plan. A written approach addressing the organizational structure, external and internal systems, responsible parties and their roles, communication procedures, safety, equipment, as well as actions to be taken in increasing and in reacting to an occurrence to ensure that there is an orderly and efficient transition from normal to emergency operations. Failure the inability of a system, subsystem, component, or part to perform its required function within specified limits under specified conditions for a specified duration. An error is a non-intentional action or inaction by a person that may lead to deviations from accepted procedures or regulations. Safety culture, an enduring set of values, norms, attitudes and practices within an organization concerned with minimizing exposure of the workforce and the general public to dangerous or hazardous conditions. In a positive safety culture, a shared concern for commitment to and accountability for safety is promoted. Safety assurance are the processes used to ensure risk controls developed under the risk management process achieve their intended objectives throughout the life cycle of the system. This process may also reveal hazards not previously identified and identify or assess the need for new risk control as well as the need to eliminate or modify existing controls. This is one of the four components of safe management systems. Severity measure is a significant reduction in safety margins and a reduction in the ability of organizations to cope with adverse operating conditions as a result of an increase in workload, significant discomfort, or conditions impairing their efficiency. Serious incident with physical distress to occupants of maritime injuries and equipment damage. Moving to the introduction. In the world of shipping, a highly competitive trade, many accidents happen upon the high seas and in harbors. Different types of damage and loss occur due to the operation of the ship. Ships are badly maintained, cargo is poorly stowed, collisions happen because of poor navigation systems, etc. The immediate cause of damage can often be traced to the master or the crew, attributed in other words to human errors. When an accident occurs, often someone has been more or less negligent and becomes liable. He has to pay damages to all those who have suffered loss or injury. This is not of great importance. Then it is not of great importance whether the injured party can sue the master or the crew because the prospect of enforcing a potential judgment is small. Naturally, it is of greater interest whether the ship owner is liable. If the master or the crew, in the course of the employment, commits a negligent act, the owner becomes automatically liable through the vicarious liability. He is not only liable for his own negligence, but also for his employees' negligence. In order to establish liability, the plaintiff need not say or prove that the ship owner himself was negligent, but simply that the contract of employment existed between the wrongdoer and the ship owner. In many cases, when found liable, a ship owner need not necessarily compensate fully those who have suffered. In general, if he fulfills the requirements, he can limit his liability. One of the obligations a ship owner has to provide is a seaworthy vessel. This is not duty to provide a perfect ship, but merely to provide a ship which is reasonably fit for the purpose. This can vary greatly depending on what the assignment for the ship is, but there is a pacing sound limit which always has to be reached. However, the maritime transportation industry has traditionally been conservative in terms of regulating its activity. Vessels conduct most of their operation at sea, making it easier for owners to bypass regulations. During the 80s and the 90s, after a series of maritime tragedies that resulted in major loss of lives and material, the International Maritime Organization, the IMO, decided to try to prevent this from happening in the future. A group of non-jurists sat down and came up with a code which was introduced as the International Safety Management Code, the so-called ISM code. The main focus is to get rid of human error in ship operation. The code, which is incorporated into the 1974 Safety of Life at Sea Convention, the SOLAS Convention, the flagship of IMO, came into force into the 1st of July of 1998. Moving forward to issues regarding safety management, before we discuss the ISM code, it's important to state some things about safety in general first. First of all, what is safety? How safety could be defined? Safety is a state in which the risk of harm to persons or damage to property or the environment is limited to an acceptable level. Safety could also be defined as the freedom of danger. Safety issues, as we can understand, do not arise only in the maritime world, but in every facet of our life. So, as in our everyday life, we find measures to mitigate or reduce our the risk exposure of ourselves in safety issues we face every day. Something similar happens in the maritime transportation. In the maritime world, safety refers to the freedom from danger for the vessel, the crew, and the environment, while also safe ship management is the primal aspect of quality ship management. How to manage safety? There are numerous risks that cannot be eliminated in a technology-based society like ours, including production, transportation, storage, handling, and usage of many dangerous goods. However, through a comprehensive and holistic management approach, appropriate safety measures and regulations arise and are enforced in order to prevent, reduce, or at least retain such risk to a societal acceptable level. The same is applied also on the multiple risks faced within the maritime industry. Careful and accurate management of on-board and on-shore facilities through the implementation of preventive and precautionary measures ensures that ship owners and operators of all commercial vessels operate in a safe and structured manner, reducing considerably in such a way the risk of accidents or incidents occurring at sea. The safety ship management system covers multiple issues such as construction, stability, equipment, operating limits, operating parameters, qualifications of the crew, training of the crew, vessel maintenance, emergency procedures, and as well as healthy and safety considerations. As we can see also in the first graph, the interactions of the crew of the vessel with all the system's components is very complex and has to be done in a perfect sequence in order to have a smooth operating procedures, in order to avoid risk situations and implement rightly the safety ship management system. Safe ship management also includes and provides ways and measures to mitigate or eliminate risks and dangers, such as following the procedures, develop seamless and uninterrupted communication systems with all the components of the system, establish an effective planning, and provide information to all the other parts of the system about the planned actions and the routes of the ship that's going to make, the supervision and monitoring of operational procedures, while also the constant training and guidance of the personnel. Further on, we should also define what is quality and what is quality management. On the one hand, quality is the totality of features and characteristics of a service to satisfy stated or implied needs. For example, features and characteristics of a ship manager's service are price, economy of use, experience, safety, communication, as well as reputation. As we said earlier, with respect to safety, also quality does not concern, of course, only the maritime sector. Quality affects and we can find it and we can determine quality again in every facet of our life. However, processes and procedures in order to define quality and quality management in the shipping industry should be undertaken. So, on the other hand, we have quality management system, which is a system specifically designed to offer independent assurance that the supplier, in our case, the shipping management company, is capable of consistently delivering the service to the specifications required by the customer, meaning the owner or the charterer. Total quality management. Quality and safety systems are living documents that are continually updated and modified to improve their ease of use and effectiveness. Total quality management is a firm-wide management philosophy of continuously improving the quality of the products, services, processes by focusing on the customer's needs and expectations to enhance customer satisfaction and their performance. Most of the studies researching the field of total quality management in shipping report that total quality management practices have positively been related to productivity, operational performance, quality performance, employee satisfaction and performance, innovation performance, customer satisfaction results, competitive advantage, market share, as well as financial performance. In order to have such benefits from the implementation of total quality management techniques, some essential factors of total quality management should be already in place. First of these essential factors is leadership. Leaders in a total quality management system view the firm as a system, support employee development, establish a multi-point communication among the employees, managers, and customers, and use information efficiently and effectively. In addition, leaders encourage employee participation in decision-making and empowering the employees. Top management commitment and participation in total quality management practices are the most important factors for the success of TQM practices. Managers should demonstrate more leadership than traditional management behaviors to increase employees' awareness of quality activities in total quality management adoption and practices. The second factor is the knowledge and process management that is essential to total quality management. Effective knowledge management ensures that employees obtain timely, reliable, consistent, accurate, and necessary data and information as they need to do their job effectively and efficiently in the firm. Only in such a way the expected benefits from total quality management practices can be achieved. Process management emphasizes activities as opposed to results through a set of methodological and behavioral activities. It includes preventive and proactive approaches, quality management to reduce variations in the process and improve the quality of the product or service. Knowledge and success process management practices monitor data and quality to manage processes effectively. Errors or mistakes in the processes can also be figured out and corrected on time. The processes are improved by means of controlling the processes periodically and monitoring data on quality continuously. Effective knowledge and process management design minimizes the negative effects on the environment. Furthermore, as the processes become prevention-oriented, costs are reduced and profit of the firm increases. Third essential factor of total quality management is training. Total quality management firms should give necessary training to all their employees to improve their proficiencies in their tasks. Effective training in management and improvement in quality brings success for the firms. Employees' effective knowledge and learning capability will provide substantially sustainability of quality management in the firm. Furthermore, learning organizations adapt rapidly to the changes and develop unique behavior which distinguishes them from the other firms and enables them to obtain better results. Quality does not begin in one department or function. It is the responsibility of the whole system. Training should be given to all employees based on the results of the training needs assessments. With effective training, employees know the industry and the structure of the firm, while in addition, effective training will improve employees' loyalty to the firm, motivation, and work performance. If employees are trained on producing reliable and high-quality products or services, their full participation in the production stage would be more fruitful. Thus, customer satisfaction will increase and customer complaints will be respectively reduced. Finally, you have strategic quality planning as an essential factor of total quality management. Strategic quality planning includes vision, mission, and values of the firms. They are formed by taking into account the quality concept with effective strategic quality planning efforts. Employees are taken as an input in developing the vision, mission, strategies, and objectives of the firm. This facilitates acceptance and support of strategic quality plans by the employees. Successful strategic quality planning efforts are also successful strategic quality planning efforts also take into account the possible side effects of the plan to the environment prior to the production. This will manifest and improve social responsibility of the firm. Moreover, with regard to the safety management in general terms, includes all the activities of shore-based organization that determines the safety policy, objectives, responsibilities, supports and controls the work activities of the crew members on board. Additionally, in order to be effective, safety management should become primary responsibility in all levels of company's management. Its implementation should involve all personnel of the organization. Safety management objective of the companies relate to providing for safe practices in ship operation and a safe working environment for the crew, establish safeguards against all identified risks and also maybe for unidentified risks, while also continuously enhancing the safety management skills of personnel ashore and on board, including among others preparations for emergencies related to both accident and environmental protection. While additionally, the safety or quality management system should also guarantee the compliance with the mandatory rules and regulations that are in place, and that the applicable codes, guides, and standards recommended by the IMO, administration, classification societies, and other maritime industry organizations are taken carefully into account. Is a safety system management necessary? Someone could ask. Safety management systems, of course, are necessary because the majority of maritime accidents occur due to violations or omits of basic safety principles, such as failure to follow established quality instructions or procedures, or due to lack of proper training or incompetence of the personnel. Due to these facts, having a written onboard system ensures that all personnel is given sufficient and accurate guidance and training to operate the ship the way the company wants it done, with no room for flexibility. Safety Management System's functional requirements. The safety management system, in order to be effective, certain functional requirements should already exist. First of all, there should be a safety and environmental policy on behalf of the company, as well as predefined distinct level of authority, responsibilities and duties between and among shore and shipboard personnel, including the designated person. Clear statement regarding master's authorities that defines explicitly what are the responsibilities of the crew members and specifically of the master. Written guidance manuals and instruction procedures for tasks on board related to the safe operation of the vessel, as well as the protection of human life and of the environment. Maintenance, testing and inspection programs, emergency preparedness and contingency planning, procedures for reporting accidents and near misses, procedures for reporting non-conformities, continuous crew training and familiarization with the vessel operating systems, procedures for internal audits, masters and management reviews, record keeping as well as document control procedures, application of appropriate safety-related technologies, as well as compliance with standards, good practice, and with the overall safety life cycle. So, there are three crucial aspects of safety management, which are known also as the 3 C's and can be distinguished among commitment, common sense, and communication that should be established in all operations and all operations of companies operating at sea. These are the cornerstone of onboard quality and safety management. With regard to communication, the establishment of effective communication with all the crew members and staff ashore in order to be able to monitor and oversee operations at all times, sustaining in such a way an efficient management control, is necessary and of paramount importance. With regard to common sense, every person on board and ashore, every personnel on board or ashore, should apply common sense to all occurred aspects during work. If someone is unsure or doesn't know the procedures, he has to ask for guidance or assistance in order to perform his tasks properly and right, with avoiding mistakes or negligence or mistakes or from accidents happening due to negligence or because of not knowing the right procedures. Finally, with regard to commitment, all personnel should commit to effective safety management. It's hard work, but it's not impossible. However, it requires the involvement of the whole company, meaning from the top management level to all seafarers, sharing in such a way the responsibility and commitment for the safe operation of the ship and for the protection of the environment. So, at this point, we're going to discuss, to provide an overview of the ISM code. The ISM code is thought to have a significant impact on standards of seaworthiness and on the possibilities for ship owners to limit their liability. The ISM code is about a safety management system, the so-called SMS. The purpose of the code is to provide an international standard for the safe management and operation of ships and for pollution prevention. Its intention is to provide a tool to check that documented procedures are in place for monitoring compliance with national and international rules and regulations. It is, as expressed in the preamble, purposely written in very general terms, not focusing on specific issues, recognizing that no two shipping companies or ship owners are the same, and that ships operate under a wide range of different conditions, and the code therefore is expressed in broad terms so that it can have a widespread application. It provides a standard so that everyone knows what is required of them within the safety management system, and it provides standards to ensure that those individuals are properly qualified, trained and experienced to carry out those tasks. Moreover, it provides procedures for reporting accidents and non-conformities within the system, as well as procedures for monitoring that what should be done is being done by way of internal audits and management reviews. These are management procedures to ensure the safest possible operation of ships and maximum attainable prevention of marine pollution. Human error plays a vital part in maritime claims. It is said to account for around 65% of all major claims, and out of this, up to 80% result from management failure of one sort or another. The ASM code can be seen as an umbrella code. If the ship is not compliant with all applicable port state, flag, national and international rules and regulations, then she is not compliant with the ASM code. With regard to the history of the ASM code, in the late 80s, a growing concern about poor management standards in the shipping industry evolved. This led to the IMO drafting guidelines on management for the safe operation of ships and for pollution prevention to provide those responsible for the operation of ships with a framework for the proper development, implementation and assessment of safety and pollution prevention management in accordance with good practice. In November 1991, the guidelines were revised, while also in 1993, the ISM code itself was adopted as a recommendation, and after several years of practical experience, was decided to become mandatory. This was done by means of adding a new chapter, the ninth chapter, to the 1974 SOLAS Convention. The code itself is not actually included in the convention, but is made mandatory through a reference in Chapter 9, which entered into force on the 1st of July 1998. ISM code concerns 90% of the world's fleet, with approximately 8,000 ship-owning and operating companies. It applies to all passenger vessels, oil and chemical tankers, bulk carriers, gas carriers, and cargo high-speed craft, some 18,700 ships of 500 gross tonnage and above. Other cargo ships and mobile offshore drilling units, another 20,700 ships of 500 gross tonnage and above, were required to comply by 1st July of 2002 to the ISM code respectively. Finally, it is also notable that the ISM code became mandatory to ro-ro ferries operating under regular service to or from a port of a member state of the European Community already on the 1st of July on 1996. Moving to the ISM code's objectives. The ISM code objectives are to ensure, first of all, the safety at sea, the prevention of human injury or loss of life, and avoidance of damage to environment with focus on the marine environment and property. It also establishes safety management objectives for the company to provide for safe practices in ship operation and a safe working environment, to establish safeguards against all identified risks, and to continue to improve safety management skills of personnel on board and ashore, including preparing for emergencies related to safety and environmental protection. With the help of the safety management systems, the company should develop a security culture where safety is raised to the highest priority. Safety of lives and environment should naturally be seen through all the processes and routines on board the vessel. Cost effectiveness and profits should always come in a second hand. Moving now to the ISMS code requirements. The code requires a safety management system, or else an SMS system, to be established. This is a structured and documented system enabling the company personnel to effectively implement the company's safety and environmental protection policy. This system should ensure the ship owner's compliance with mandatory rules and regulations. Moreover, that the applicable codes, guidelines and standards recommended by the IMO administration, classification societies and maritime industry organizations are taken into account. Administrations should confirm compliance with the requirements of the code by determining that the conformity of the company's safety management system with the requirements of the ISM code and that the SMS ensures that the objectives defined in the section 1 to 3 of the code are met. In other words, the ship owner will be unable to turn a blind eye to best practice. If he does not follow suit, he will have to explain why. The company should, as suited, best for its condition, develop, implement, and maintain the system which should contain safety and environmental protection policy, instructions and procedures to ensure safe operation of ships and protection of the environment in compliance with relevant international and flag state regulation, define levels of authority and lines of communication between and among shore and shipboard personnel, procedures for reporting accidents and non-conformities with provisions of the code, procedures to prepare and respond to emergency situations, as well as procedures for internal audits and management reviews. These procedures must be in manuals, on signs, and in common knowledge on how to deal with normal routines on board the vessel. In case of incidents or accidents, the manual shall give information to a proper action. Naturally, it won't be time to read in the manual, but this should have been practiced and repeated many times before, so there should not be a need to consult the manual. Incidents and non-conformities are supposed to be reported, and it must be a simple, natural and well-known practice how to communicate this. In case of an emergency, it should be easy for the crew to find clear and proper information on how to confront the emergency, or else how does the firefighting systems work, how to rescue someone in an enclosed space. But of course, this should also be well known routines and practice before it happens. The system should also establish that the master has the overriding authority and responsibility to make decisions with respect to safety and pollution prevention, and to request the company's assistance as may be necessary. The master will be the person who sees to it that the SMS is implemented and carried out. The ship owner should ensure that the master is allowed to deviate from the procedures laid down in his vessel's SMS if circumstances needed. To ensure that the safety management system is being complied with, regular checks and audits should be held by the company, and the system itself should be reviewed periodically to evaluate its efficiency. ISMS code requirements with regard to the designated person. Another very important and interesting issue is what the designated person is expected to report. If every non-conformity was reported, probably the owners would draw in reports and it would be difficult to act according to them. Therefore, there is a need for some kind of determination on what to report and not, and the owner in practice probably has to delegate certain aspects of dealing with non-conformities, accidents and hazardous occurrences to the designated person, enabling him to deal with some of the simpler ones. Every company has to find the way that suits them best, much depending on how the management structure is built and also on the size of the company. It should be perfectly acceptable that certain matters need not reach the top level. However, if a major incident evolves, by some misfortune out of them, top management should not expect to be exonerated of privity. But what kind of liability would then be given to the owner? For example, in situations where the owner claims that the vessel was seaworthy, he is responsible for the vessel all the way, irrespectively of any delegations of the responsibility. Since there is no guidelines in the code, it will be up to the courts to closer determine what the designated person should pass on the most senior levels of the management. When a non-conformity is never communicated to the designated person and rests with the vessel crew, it's hard to see that it would be any different liability compared to the time before the ISM code. If a situation like this is found with inadequate reporting procedures, probably there is a few changes needed to improve the effectiveness of the safety management system and should be looked on severely by the owner. ISMS codes requirements with regard to personnel. A very important part of the ISM code is, of course, the personnel. To be able to run a safe ship, the company is required to have competent personnel given proper familiarization with the correct procedures and with operational system procedures of the vessel. All personnel involved in the SMS must have an adequate understanding of the relevant rules, regulations, codes and guidelines. Procedures must be established and maintained to identify any training required to ensure that all concerned understand the correct procedures. The information on the correct procedures must be provided to ship's personnel in a language they can understand. Furthermore, the personnel must also be able to communicate effectively in the execution of their duties relating to the safety management system. Finally, the ISM code emphasizes ongoing exercises and requires the company to establish programs for drills and exercise to prepare personnel for emergency situations. ISM code requirements with regard to reports and analysis of non-conformities, accidents and hazardous occurrences. This is one of the most interesting sections in the code concerning the reporting procedure. If this part of the SMS works as intended, then there is a little chance for the owner to claim no knowledge or privity. Characteristically, in section 9.1, it is stated that the safety management system should include procedures ensuring that non-conformities, accident and hazardous situations are reported to the company, which in this case means the designated person who has to determine what to do with the information. It continues by stating that there should be procedures ensuring that non-conformities are investigated and analyzed with the objective of improving safety and pollution prevention. The second part of section 9 is also of highest importance. Here is stated that the company should establish procedures for the implementation of corrective actions. It is therefore very important that when found, non-conformities are corrected and rectified. Moreover, with regard to ISMS code requirements to the company verification, review and evaluation, with with regard to management reviews. The company management should conduct reviews of the management system at defined and sufficient intervals. They should investigate the results of the internal and external audits, if there has been corrective actions, and how the results from them turned out. They should also look at non-conformities and find ways to avoid them in the future. The review may consider revisions to the management system to respond to technology changes, quality concept changes, market strategies, as well as social and environmental conditions. Another aspect of company verification, review and evaluation are the audits. One part of the ISM code concerns the certification and verification, in our context, the audit regime, to ensure that companies act upon their obligations. In general, audit can be defined as a systemic, independent, and documented process for updating audit evidence and evaluating it objectively to determine the extent to which the audit criteria are fulfilled. It is common to distinguish between first-party audit, or else internal audit, and second-party audit, chartered auditing, while finally third-party audit with regard to flag state audits. The audit criteria are set by policies, procedures, or requirements, while records, facts, or other verifiable information constitute audit evidence. Audits may target various aspects of the audited safety management system, including policies, procedures, practices, programs, and the organization. The certification regime for the ISM code sets forward a sequence of audits conducted by the flag state or a recognized organization, as well as internal audits. In order to be well allowed to operate a ship owner or operator initially must possess a document of compliance valid for the specific sea type. This is issued following verification by flag state or the recognized organization that a safety management system consistent with the requirements of the ISM code are in practice. The verification process typically consists of an inspection of the safety management system documents and on a one-day site audit for OSV operators. A vessel will also need the safety management certificate following an audit verifying that its safety management system contains key elements of the ISM code. At this point, we're going to make an 1 hour break and we'll continue in 2 o'clock with the rest of our presentation. Thank you very much. Έλα κλείσει, το πάτησε ένα stop, αλλά δεν ξέρω αν το έκανε. Το σταμάτησε τώρα 1 η ώρα.